Greetings, Divine Masters of the Light. Yeah, it's such a blessing and a pleasure to connect with you in this expanded moment of now, down by the river. Yeah. So thank you for being here today. So in today's video, we will be looking at and discussing what is adult shame supposed to do or offer. So adult shame, is complicated as it is, as a present shame that is influencing the future, as opposed to a past shame that is influencing the present. Complicated as it is by a current perspective as opposed to a past retrospective. Complicated as it is by a shame that is happening now in the midst of the set as opposed to outside of the set. So adult shame is further complicated by the fact that in the midst of it, you are becoming or have become an offender. Okay, so as adults, in the midst of your adult shame, you are passing that shame on in your reality. You are either passing it on by the teaching, or by abandoning, or by abusing, or by wronging. If not your children, then your peers, perhaps those peers you care about and love the most. You are passing on, whether you want to admit it or not. You are. If you're not already passing on, you 100% will pass it on to others eventually. That is the phenomenon of shame. Once you become an offender, dealing with adult shame becomes even more complicated. More complicated by the factor than by the present as opposed by the past. The perspective opposed to the retrospective, being the set rather than outside the set. It's more complicated once you become the offender, right? To deal with this most complicated shame with this deepening pain. That is a phenomenon of this particular melody that is unlike so many other modalities you may experience, which you may suffer from. That if you do not heal this shame, you will infect others with it. If you do not end this shame, you will pass it on to others, as much as it was passed on to you by those previously who did not heal or did not end it for themselves. So to recognize that the potential or the fact that adult shame is far more potent now than at any time in my past, and to own that truth for yourself in the preparation for and in the moving toward healing this level of shame. All right, now, the first thing shame is supposed to do or offer is, shame is supposed to be part of the development of conscience. Developing a conscience is a method of discovering what is right for you, the right action, the right way, and the right sense of being for you. Okay, so even in this world of yours, you have certain things that are right for you, that you know are right. Your truth, they may not be right for anybody else, or they also may be right for some of your friends, but most important is they are right for you. Your truth is for you. So develop a conscience, and to motivate yourself out of your conscience is what is key here. Not out of guilt, not out of fear, not out of self-pity, right? Not out of unhealthy anger, doubt, rage, etc. Of not doing something. I'm afraid I'll get caught, or I'm afraid of what happens if I don't do it. Oh, I'm going to get punished, and I'm going to get hurt, etc. So many people in the consensus function out of guilt and function out of fear, even with major regions of the world. That motivation of guilt and fear has been internalized as a proper motivation. To love God for fear of what will happen to you if you don't. To do things because you don't want to be a sinner, or you don't want to get caught as a bad person, or go to hell, or whatever, out of guilt, fear, and shame. But in fact, the more clear motivation, correct motivation, in that sensing, is the motivation that comes out of conscience, that comes from your personal character and your spiritual character. I am doing this because it is the right thing to do. Not because it is the most popular, not because others or God, Goddess would approve it or get me into heaven, not because it will win me points, although they may be a part of it. I'm doing it because it is the right thing for me to do. It just feels right for my conscience, based upon my personal character And based upon my personal spiritual character, right? That is conscience. Shame is one of the ingredients, one of the tempers, and one of the ways in which you gain that sense of conscience. And without it, or when shame is overwhelming, people don't seem to have a conscience. All right, the second thing shame is supposed to do or offer, to understand that sometimes you can react to a world around you, right? And sometimes you can act in that world, and sometimes, right, you can be proactive in that world. You never learned remorse, and therefore never established the foundation. And now, as you are supposed to have remorse or feel remorse, you really don't know how. That is what shame is supposed to offer. So initiate and plan actions without necessity, but by desire. You can be all three, and there can be circumstances and situations in which you will react and in which you will act other times proactively. So it is true with others as well, that there will be situations and circumstances in which they will react, right? As well, but and they'll also be proactive as well. It's understanding you can develop a character, personal character, and a spiritual character with integrity and esteem, and so can others. It is realizing that you can develop a living relationship with the God, Goddess of all that is, not just a philosophical one, not just initiate and plan actions without necessity, but by desire. You can be all three, and there can be circumstances and situations in which you will react, which you will act other times proactively. So it is true with others as well, okay? That there will be situations and circumstances in which they will react as well and be proactive as well. So it's understanding you can develop a character, a personal character, and a spiritual character, with integrity, and esteem, and so can others. An abstraction that exists in some unreachable ideal, but a very present relationship, albeit less than perfect relationship with God, Goddess of all that is. So when you generally have these concepts, not just something you are aware of, not something you can recite and repeat, but something you can live. That's an automatic or a living part of you. Then when you make a mistake, you feel sorrow, you feel sorry without guilt, self-pity, blame, martyrhood, without having to be defensive, without beating yourself up, without punishing yourself, right? Whatever way, physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. When you do not have these foundations, then you will not really feel remorse, no matter how much you say the word or how much you repeat, I really, really feel sorry. No, really, 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 I feel sorry. And I mean I feel sorry. That's not going to do it. As an infant, when you start feeling and making mistakes, right, and feeling bad about those mistakes, that is where that foundation is established, and it is implemented in childhood and adolescence so that it might be applied in your grown-up years now. That is what shame is supposed to provide you with, but indeed in so many of you it became toxic, it became too much, it came too fast, it came too heavy, it came too vibrantly. Therefore you never learned that, and therefore never established a foundation. Now as you're supposed to have remorse or feel remorse, you really don't know how, but that is what shame is supposed to offer when it's handled, when it's applied in the appropriate intensities and the appropriate doses, if you will. So next time you make a mistake and you feel, start beating yourself up, just know remorse was not the foundation. Shame was, yes, but not remorse. Retrain yourself to respond with genuine remorse, not self-pity or beating yourself up. Know that you can make mistakes, and so can other people, right? That is understandable. It's all right for you to be less than perfect, and it's all right for others, right, to be less than perfect. You see, there's a feeling of genuine sorrow when you have made a mistake, when you have done something wrong, when you have hurt someone, of something, including yourself, a genuine feeling of sorrow, of being sorry, now you can say the words, and everybody learns them far too early in life. I'm sorry, I feel such sorrow, I feel remorse. The words are part of the vocabulary, but most people don't feel remorse, even when they use the word. So often because you do not have the foundation or the implementations and applications as part of your own experience of humanness. You grew up instead, I'm really feeling sorry for myself, or I feel martyred, or I feel guilty, I feel defensive, or I feel righteous, or I feel ugly, I feel awful, I feel so punishing. I don't really mean I feel sorrow. And often when you do something for which you should or would otherwise feel sorry or sorrow, instead feel very sorry for yourself. Feel very martyred, very guilty, very defensive, very self-punishing, very sabotaging, or self-destructive, right? And that, dear one, is not sorrow. No, it's not. To generally feel sorrow, to generally feel sorry without guilt, without pity, without righteousness, without blame and martyr, is what is remorse. And though, as you can see, you have said the words many times, you may have even said it with a great deal of emotion. In fact, it was often accompanied by the phenomenon of self-pity, martyr, victim, blamer. Therefore, was not genuine remorse. You see, in order to feel genuine remorse, you must honestly know, not just say the words, but honestly know that you can make mistakes, and so can other people. That is understandable. It's all right for you to be less than perfect. It's all right for others to be less than perfect also. Not just say the words, not just to pay the penance, right? To the concept, but to genuinely know that. To also know you are forgivable, that there is nothing you can do for which you are not forgivable, and there is nothing others can do for which they are not forgiven. There are times when you're going to be prepared to deal with life, and there's times when you're not going to be prepared, and that's okay. It may be uncomfortable, and it may be unpleasant, it may be embarrassing, but it's okay. Other people are going to be in that same boat. That sometimes other people are going to be prepared, and sometimes they're not going to be prepared. And that's okay as well. You have needs and wants that sometimes come first, and sometimes follow the needs and wants of others. Sometimes follow the needs and wants of the world around you. And sometimes even follow the needs and wants of inner world within you. But you have needs and wants that are flexible and that are pliable, sometimes immediate and sometimes postponed. Your needs and wants and others people's have their needs and wants, which may be the same and different than yours, and sometimes their needs and wants come first. Sometimes their needs and wants follow that of somebody else, or of the world, or of the inner world, and them from the perspective and reality as well. The third thing shame is supposed to do or offer is you have to figure out a way to take this realness that you are and fit it into an illusion. While you are a realness out there as a consciousness who has a body that is a function of an illusion that exists within a physical plane, that is an illusion, and you need to figure out how to make it fit. Beyond that, shame, when handled appropriately, is to provide a basis similarly for integration, actualization, individualization, and actualization are all big lovely words that are used by psychologists and therapists that sound so very important, but what do they really mean? To put it most directly and most plainly, it means fitting into the illusion. You are a consciousness that is real, but you are existing in an illusionary world that you call reality. You have to figure out a way to take this realness that you are and fit it into an illusion, to make it fit inside this illusion. The secret to manifestation, first of which, is to realize that when you manifest anything, you take what's real and bring it into the illusion. It's not the other way around, that you find an illusion out there and try to make it real. In fact, you find a realness out there and you try to make it an illusion. While you are a realness out there as a consciousness who has a body that is a function of an illusion, who exists within a physical plane that is an illusion, and you need to figure out how to make it fit, so that it can function in this illusion. That is what integration is, making your realness fit into the illusion. That is what individualization, to make an individual into a character, is. That is what actualization is, to become actual, is making yourself actual, to make the real actual within the illusion. Shame is not the only trigger, but is part of the trigger that can allow that to happen, so that you can find a place for your raw material, so you can find a place for your beliefs. Not your mother's and father's beliefs, not your teachers or superiors or authorities, etc., but your beliefs. Not their attitudes, but yours. Not their thoughts, but yours. And feelings, right? But your thoughts and feelings. And not their choices and decisions, but yours. Your own. It's the introduction of shame, that realization that you can do things for which you feel ashamed, and you can do things differently for which you don't have to feel ashamed. That you can find your place where this realness of consciousness, that is, you fit into this illusion, becomes a part of this illusion, and can function in this illusion. How to integrate your truth, to find your place for your raw materials, to find a place for your tools, techniques, insights, visions, desires, your expectations, your imagination, not other people or somebody else's, but yours. To find a place, your own generating energy, your trust, your gratitude, your love, your worth, your own sense of value, your happiness, your care, your joy, your kindness, not society's, not the consensus, not the government's, and not the world's, but yours. To find a place for your sustaining energy, for your discipline, your own intimacy, and for your love. Your love is not other people's ideas, but your love. The presence of shame running up against making mistakes, running up against doing things in which you need to forgive, running up against things being prepared and unprepared, running up against your needs and wants, and trying to make them fit first, second, third, or fourth. Acting or reacting or being proactive is where you learn. That's where you experiment. That's where you explore, trying to make yourself fit into this illusion, to integrate individuality and actualization. When that shame goes over and comes too strong, too fast, too furious, and it is compounded with other phenomena, instead of lifting you, you become more alienated, more separated, more distant, more dysfunctional, and unable to function in this illusion. And fourthly, finally, shame is supposed to produce or offer is a part of the human function. Shame is supposed to produce passion, your passion, the things in which you feel passionate about, and also produce the compassion, the fire, and the breath of your soul, the passion and compassion of life. So many people don't have passion. Oh, they may want this, they may want that, they may really want this, really want that, but they don't feel a genuine passion for anyone or anything, and they don't feel genuine compassion. Shame is supposed to be the ingredient in your reality that forges the passion, the fire, and the compassion, the breath of your very soul. Some are stuck in the unprocessed and suppressed shame, and have shame contracts such as punisher, abuser, hurt you before you hurt me, etc., and lack genuine compassion, empathy, and understanding. They are usually stuck in a negative ego and unhealthy anger for their fire and compassion. Shame is supposed to integrate empathy and understanding. Being empathetic is to be able to feel what other people are feeling. Not sympathy, but empathy and understanding. Not just compliance, but genuine understanding. Shame is supposed to be a drive and a motivation to be and to become who you really are, as a reaction to and a response to healthy shame. To develop a drive and motivation to be and become all you are. This is what shame is supposed to do. Remorse, integration, conscience, passion, compassion, empathy, understanding, drive, motivation. But in so many of you, overdosed in so many of you, it came in toxic ways that numbed you and rocked your boat, that knocked you off course, that blindsided you, disrupted you so hardly, so completely, that the remorse, integration, the conscience, passion, compassion, empathy, understanding, drive, and motivation didn't get established the way it should have. Therefore, heal your adult shame and integrate your passion, for your soul wants to develop not just a fire of passion, but a bed of passion that is solid, that is strong, that will endure. The soul wants to reduce your passion to a slow burn until you become the adult who can handle passion. So thank you for listening to me today. This is Chris Parr, Syrian and Lemurian Wisdoms and Teachings.